Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. Paula Howell joining us here today to talk more about the work she does. Excited to talk more about Howell Academics and, of course, all the progress she's making as an educational counselor to so many. Welcome to the show today. How are you?
I'm great. And yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a pleasure to have you here. I know you're based out of Vancouver, correct?
Yes, I am.
Beautiful. And Howell Academics is helping those where specifically?
Well, we're actually based out of Vancouver, BC, but we have a global reach.
Yeah.
Predominantly now it's focused in Vancouver, but we have had an international platform working as well in areas of North America, but also Dubai and China.
Amazing. Well, so excited to have you here. I got to do all my research on you, and I'm excited for our listeners to get to know you and what you are all about. You're specializing in preschools, kindergarten, lower, middle, upper schools, right? Even with advanced degrees in education. So tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing at Howell.
Well, it's interesting because Howell Academics kind of was a metamorphosis of many different concepts coming together in a need. And I would say that we're different as an education consulting firm is that I truly believe it is about the whole person. And when I speak about that, I mean the idea that as parents, we have a driving force to want our children to always have the best, but most importantly, be happy. And that's not necessarily always achieved sometimes in the public school system. And we do support our families also with advocacy in the public school system, as well as support families who are able to aspire to have their children go to private schools. We help them also in that process authentically.
Beautiful. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm excited to have you here, and I want people to reach out to you. Tell us the websites and all forms of contact.
Well, our website is www.howellacademics.com. And you can contact me and look us up there. We have a plethora of information that helps guide you in not only the admissions process, but I always like to say the admissions process and beyond. Because let's face it, our children may start in JK or preschool, but they're a 12 to 13-year process, and then they go through it again in university. And we can help full circle. And as we are a boutique firm and really consider the idea of the whole person, the scope and the work that I do also supports families in that transition of change, that milestone change. I'm a licensed life coach, also business coach, finalizing also my...
Well, I want to get to know you personally in just a sec as well, but I want to also point out, if you go to howellacademics.com, there's an early bird offer, right? Before September 30th, if you sign up there, you get a $100 discount, which is pretty cool. And I want to hear more about you. Let's go over your background. Where did you grow up? And let's talk a little about how you got involved in this. This is fascinating, all the work that you're doing and all the accolades that you've accomplished. And I know you've had over 22 years of educational expertise. So let's get started and find out more about you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's interesting. I can kind of get into view of all of that, and I think my biggest accolade or achievement is my daughter, to be frank. As cliche as that may sound, it wasn't until I had her that it actually really humbled me in the industry. We can have all the paper possible, all the resource, but until you actually go through the process of parenting and that deep-seated hard process, it does make it different in terms of how we move through the path of education. So how did I get into it? My background, cold notes. I went to college first. Was originally started in business. My father was in business when I was growing up, and my mother was in education. To appease them both, I did both business and education. From there, I found that there was something missing. There was it was missing the idea that children and families aren't commodities, and how we work with them can't be on a lens of business only. It also has to be true heart. So I discovered Howell Academics. I made Howell Academics with the idea of supporting families and understanding their children. Then from there, the work that we did, families were applying to private school because they had a clear understanding of what they wanted for their. It just ended up through osmosis. People said, go see Paula. She can help you get into private school. And there started Howell Academics.
Got it. Well, thank you for being here and your approach. You mentioned, emphasize the importance of addressing those individual needs and the goals of your clients and students. And you really are dedicated here to helping those with the whole person approach. So we appreciate this and excited that you're here joining us today live on the show. And I know you want to focus a lot on the learning challenges and the struggles that parents face, balancing this desire to provide the best for their children in a competitive world while avoiding the pressure to keep up with the Joneses, right? Could you share a little bit about this?
Well, one of the biggest things is that, and I felt it full circle, and I try to focus on the idea that, there are two camps. There are people that, think that, everybody should have equal access to education, and I wholeheartedly believe that. And then there are people who believe that it's unfair that some people can afford to go to private school and some can't. The way that I look at it is, yes, everyone has access to equal, and no matter where you sit or stand, the education should be provided in one that supports your children. So whether you're going to public school or you choose to go to private, you should have the same access to educational resources. So with that said, most parents don't know where to look or what to ask or how to advocate. So with our practice, or what I do with our clients, is I help them in all those scopes. Our Ready Learning Hub is a hub that allows families to be able to have access to readiness skills for their children for an easy way that mediates the idea of us as parents have a very limited time after work and all the other things we need to balance to support our children at home, where we simply want to just be with them. And our admissions platform, which is our admissions actual platform that helps parents to do the admissions process on their own, the Admissions Strategy Academy, that helps them do the admissions on their own. So whether they can't necessarily work with me directly, I've taken years and years of content and put it there so that if you're navigating the idea of private school admissions, you can navigate it with me in your back pocket on an app. Now, I think that gives a little bit of a clarity, but when you're asking about keeping up with the Jones, there's so much competition out there, so much. And it seems that even now, as we are in the heart of the admission season, there may be 300 to 400 applicants, viable spaces available. How do you actually allow yourself to be considered one of those three spaces? And I laugh often with my parents, and I say to them, try to allow yourself to remember you only need one space, and take away all the noise that's around you. Try not to compare yourself to what other families are doing or not doing, and really think about your family as your family, what you want from them. There are so many cookie-cutting kind of answers that parents want to give about fit, about they love the co-curriculars or the environment, but none of that actually speaks to you as a family. None of it speaks to your child and their needs. Whether good, bad, or indifferent, nobody's perfect. And it's important to remember that the people that are interviewing you for this one position could be parents as well, have their own personal experiences. And they want to hear how you can connect with them, because they, in essence, are the decision makers who make up the community.
Well, I got to ask you something. I read that you have an 8-year-old daughter?
Yes, I do.
Aw, beautiful. What's her name?
Her name's Paige.
Beautiful. I have a 7 and 9-year-old, so I have one in 4th grade, one in 1st. So is she in 3rd?
Yeah. So 4th and 3rd, right? That's pretty close.
Yeah. No. 4th. I was asking you if your daughter was in 3rd.
Oh, no. So my daughter's in grade 3 because she's a January baby, so she was born in January. And in Vancouver, the cutoff is December 30th. So she's January 22nd. So she actually is in grade 3. So she just started her grade 3 year.
Good. Yeah, my son's in 4th and 1st. I know the difficulty of this and how it's so important to keep your child. My son came home the other day to home and he said, Mom, I want some extra help in math. I was shocked he actually asked for that. And I'm like, so I asked the school and I reached out to the teacher. And this is a regular public school here in New York. And she said, I'm sorry, right now we can't offer extra help. It's only to those who are really struggling. So they consider him not really struggling. I was like disappointed. I'm like, oh, they can't help, So it's interesting that you offer all different types of readiness programs to all different ages, right?
Yes, I do. And how did that make you feel? Like, how did it make you feel first that your son was struggling?
Not good. It hurt. Like, I want to help. And then I reached out to the people, that I thought could help, and they told me no, and I was like discouraged.
Yeah, and that happens to so many parents. When we're trying to balance, keeping ends going, things working, especially in this economy, no matter where you're going to school, there are so many other things to battle, and we want to kind of shelter and protect our children from that. Not only when we think about the math, that your son may not be feeling as confident in that area, but then he doesn't have the resource in a place that you want him to have the resource. And when you work to advocate, to ask the questions, and you don't know, they don't have the answers for you because of their own shortages, yes, it does make you feel that you may not be giving as much as you can for your son. I have this happen quite a lot with my clients that come in with those same queries, not knowing where do we find resources. Is it a matter of us getting a tutor? Do we make him do extra work? And mostly I say, first take a deep breath, because math nowadays is nothing like math when I was going to school. I'm not sure about yourself.
I'm so confused. I don't understand what they're doing. I don't understand how they're doing this now. I'm sorry. It's difficult for me to understand now at 46.
Yes. So we're the same age. So it's literally completely different than the way we learned math. It's what we call operational math, or real life math, or applied math. And with that math, it's much more critical thinking about how do we apply it in every day while still trying to work through the concepts. And what I normally say to parents is that ultimately your son or daughter, your son specifically, will actually get the concept. When we're looking at whether or not they're doing very well in it or not doing well on an academic base, it's usually because it's something that they're just one area that they're having a challenge with. Mm-hmm. And there are many different ways that you can assess those areas to find out. And there are some great tutors that do support mathematical acquisition to understand where those areas are. And then when you go back to your school, you're asking more of a specific question to say, I took my son to this tutor who was able to hone in on this particular concept that he's having a challenge with. Are there any specific ways that we can actually work with him at home to help support that in an organic way that isn't textbook, that will help him gather a confidence in this area?
See, I need you.
We need each other.
Right?
Each other, and that's really what I look at. I look at it in terms of the idea that there is validity in the concept of it takes a village to raise a child, because part of our village are our teachers, our educators, our systems. And right now, currently in our economic state, our systems are actually broken right now. And it's really difficult to find clarity in that system. But there are little nuances of light in those empty spaces if we really take time to really heed in on them. And I feel like our children are mirrors to that. So I can give you just an example with that with my daughter, Paige. And, Paige is the most quirky little girl they eat. And she's always reminding me of what matters most in life. So she will not want to sit and do homework or not want to do any of those things. But if you ask her to help you bake a cake or to, rearrange something in her room, she's the first person to want to volunteer. So in baking a cake, we can use number, we can use measurements, we can use quantity, we can use heat, we can use science, which are all transdisciplinary activities and lessons. And when her teacher says, what did Paige do today to help in those areas, I literally write down and show with Paige pictures of her cake, pictures of us measuring, and we just blend in those concepts. So they may not be traditional, but her acquisition of knowledge is so much stronger, and then she's able to apply it when she sits down to paper and pen about measurement. She'll remember us baking, which is much more of an anchored experience.
Got it. Well, thank you for sharing that. We have to take a quick commercial break here, but I want to talk more about milestones of raising a child, readiness, what that means, and how to compete while nurturing a love for learning. Remind us all the ways we can reach out to you, and we'll take a quick commercial break.
Yeah, so definitely through www.howellacademics.com, or even directly. We have a phone line, 778-628-0204, or through email at info@howellacademics.com are great ways to contact me.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, everyone, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more after the break. Please stay with us.
Living comfortably in your home is easier than ever with a little help from Lowe's and AARP. We share a commitment to help people make their homes ready for all of life's changes. Take advantage of helpful videos, tips, and resources to guide you and your loved ones along the way. To learn more, visit lowes.com/livablehome. U.S. only.
Are you struggling to make your mark in a male-dominated industry? Are you ready to break free from limitations and unlock your true potential? I'm Lindsay Arico, founder of Fly Fearless Unlimited. We empower women to embrace their authenticity, build unshakable resilience, and lead with unstoppable confidence. Together we'll break barriers and redefine success. Schedule your complimentary discovery call by going to our website, flyfearlessunlimited.com. Let's conquer the skies and fly fearless together.
Hyundai Elantra versus Honda Civic. Look what Elantra has and what Civic doesn't. Hyundai Elantra wins every time.
I just made another sale, and I did it thanks to Lucia, which instantly connects you to ideal prospects. Because whether you're in sales or marketing, you can't waste time on irrelevant calls. Mom, I'm trying to make a point here.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the mytuner-radio, online radio box, and simpleradio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We are excited to have our guest here, Paula Howell, joining us from Vancouver, British Columbia, talking about Howell Academics. Go to the website, Howell Academics, and we're talking about all that she's doing to help so many on their mission to help every child out there. And again, the milestones of raising children, readiness, what does that mean? And how do we compete while nurturing a love for learning?
You know, it's interesting. I'm sitting here while we were in that little commercial break, and I was listening to the advertisements. And, you know, isn't it interesting how no matter where we are in our life, we're constantly looking or striving to become better or to make meaning or understanding. Now, if we were to reverse that to our children, and sometimes when clients come to me, sometimes even children aren't even, there's just an idea. And I've had clients come to me and their children are still in strollers. And then there's the clients that come to me because they're at a loss. And our children and our families go through many different milestones, and navigating through those are not always easy. And having the right resources and support is something that we've talked about, but it's also something that needs to be specific to every family. So I really work hard to constantly add new information to our platforms, to always ensure that we have up-to-date information. Readiness is something that is different for every child in terms of how they acquire it, but there are some foundational concepts. And some of those foundational concepts predominantly circle around the idea of socializing, whether our child is able to speak for themselves, express their needs, but then some fundamental life skills, like whether they're able to use fine motor skills, or whether they're able to articulate and also understand vowels, consonants, and beginning reading series, and also number.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, that's okay. It's always hard because we're not focused, we're not visually looking at each other today, so it's always difficult to see our cues.
I know. That and technology, there's also sometimes of a delay. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
What else did you want to add? I'll just say, go ahead.
Well, to be frank, in where I'm sitting right now, and I'm sitting right now, it's kind of a little bit of a gray day in Vancouver. I actually brought my puppy today to work, and he's sitting across the chair, and I'm reflecting on this morning, trying to get through traffic to get to my daughter's school. We're still navigating the first 2-3 weeks of first getting back to school, and traffic is always much more crazy. While I'm thinking we're in the heart of the admission season, and there's so much to do. And I'm sitting here almost in a bit of a gasp, saying to myself, you know, as us as parents, caregivers, running around, trying to do everything we possibly can do. As I was driving this morning, I said to my daughter, Paige, don't we look like little ants? And she laughed. And she said, what do you mean, Mommy? You look like little ants. Like, we're all getting in our little cars, and we're driving everywhere. We're dropping you off to little places, and we're getting into school, and we're all doing our things. And I said, and it's so interesting, because we all have our little homes and our little parts, but all I really wanted to do today was sleep in, Paige. And she laughed, and she said, yeah, me too. And I said, yeah, and I guess it really just comes down to, it really does mean something that when you go to school, you really have to do something you like, because ultimately that's what you're going to be doing for a long time. So you've really got to discover and find time to really discover what you like. Else you'll just be an ant going places, being there everywhere. And I think that's the biggest thing. Readiness is just the foundational skill that your child needs to acquire. But weaved within that, you have to find space just to be with your child. And as difficult as it is, and I know, as balancing as an entrepreneur, a mom, all of those things, a partner, all of those things, there's so much. But if we just pause for a moment and ask ourselves why we're doing it, what we want to do it for, who are we doing it for, and we ask ourselves, I guess, all of those 5 W's that we try to instill in our children, we can start to really understand our purpose and our true intentions.
Aww. Beautiful. I love this. You're so well-spoken. Clearly, you're just amazing at helping so many, and especially children as a mom, my goodness. And I love, what you have to say here. And I also just want to ask you, what about your mentors in life? Who inspired you to get into, the field you're in and then start this business as an entrepreneur?
Well, I saw that come up when we started to kind of do a little brief about what we were going to do and talk about today. And I had to really think about it because, I didn't have the easiest childhood. And I was raised by a single mother, and she did the best that she can do. And I think what I realized in the years of just self-reflection and understanding is that we all do the best we can do. I've always been an avid reader. And in reading, I've always used it as an opportunity to hear different perspectives. To understand where other people have come from, and to use it to move past the idea of what was and look at what is currently. I would say that my biggest motivator is not necessarily a motivator, but just kind of, I would say it's more of just actually learning to stop trying to be motivated. And I know that may sound very complexitory considering in what I do, but I really, truly believe that it's when we actually just focus on the intentions of what we want, then that's when our goals arrive that help us to move easier through there. It's like trying to tell someone, okay, you know what? There's a whole bunch of really stuck mud, and I want to motivate you to go through it, as opposed to letting the person stand there for a second, realize they're in that stuck mud, look around and see that maybe there's an alternative path, that they don't have to push through that mud, and that they can still reach where they want to go. And I think a lot of times in our lives we get stuck in the mud. We get stuck on the challenges of the Joneses or the people around us, or how difficult it may seem to get in or get that coveted one space in admissions, or, get our children to learn their alphabet today, or, learn their numbers or their sequences. When if we just pause in all that angst, we can actually find that there's an alternative route that's much smoother, and that route is to really just stop, listen, feel, and know that they will achieve it, and look at the experiences we can to make it lighter, make them happier, and then slowly through infusion, they'll actually pick up the concepts we need.
Got it. Well, thank you for sharing that. And unfortunately, we're just about out of time. We have 2 minutes left. How did you kind of want to wrap up today's first show?
I think I want to say that, as we get to know each other, we'll get more of a spin in terms of being able to understand how I can truly connect and align things with your family and the families out there. And it really is my true mission to kind of elevate the idea of, what happened in life for people before doesn't have to be the generation of their life for their children today. And that the goals that they may have aspired for their children can be reached with the right resource. And I would really be honored to be part of one of those resources or help them to find the right resource that can support them further.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And remind us how we can contact you, please.
Well, I would love it if you would hop on to www.howellacademics.com to have a look at any of the information that's on there, and maybe perhaps shoot you out some questions that they might have for our next chat together. And I can be more specific to help to align our conversation to meet the questions, demands, or queries that others might have.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Pleasure getting to know you, meeting you, and discussing all that you're doing to help so many people here. And it's been a pleasure. So again, please log on to the website, howellacademics.com, and hopefully we will get to connect again. Thank you so much.
Very much so. And once again, I wish you very much luck with your son with math, and I'll shoot you over some resources that can support some areas for you as well.
I appreciate that. Thanks again. And don't forget to take advantage of that discount if you reach out, right? The Academy is open. Enroll by September 30th. You get a $100 discount. Just want to let everyone know. All right. Have a great day. Thank you.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.